When you are in the middle of creating something, of creating a record, for example, you're very concentrated, I guess. Is there also something next to that, something very simple, which you can just make your mind blank again? Something just...
Like guilty pleasures type things?
Yeah.
I have one guilty pleasure I won't tell you. I won't tell you what it is. You'll think I'm a fucking ridiculous... if I do like... No, I ain't telling anybody that secret. I mean, watching like... I used to love watching Star Trek. You know, an old episode of William Shatner would make everything be okay, you know? I don't know, simple things. Difficult period in my life to find those things. Like, this is a very particular time in my life when you have like a 3-year-old, 1-year-old. It's not a good example of what my normal life will be. You know, it's a very particular time. My life will never ever be like that again. Having a baby is, and another kid is like, it's a period that's difficult and inspiring as well. But you know, once a kid becomes 3 or 4, your life, it's very different. It's very much easier. You know.
Are you already used to fatherhood?
Yeah, it's great. You're used to it fairly naturally and fairly quickly when you become a father, and more than you'd even think. Like before I became a father, I was like, oh my God, and then when it happened, it's just like it's just so easy.
It isn't all that scary?
No, it's a very easy, natural thing, you know. And I think people's misconception would be like, well, if I'm a dad, I won't be able to do what I want to do. And I think that's just an excuse. I think if someone says they're going to do something, they're going to do it whether they have kids or not. And the people who didn't do it because they have kids, because they would have never done it if they didn't. That's a pretty mean thing to say, but they can't. It's a bit of a generalization, so I can't go to everybody. But I think that on an average would work really well.
I think the general idea is that it's for a musician, it's extra hard to have a kid.
Yeah, because you tour.
The touring life and stuff like that. But I thought of it the other way around. It can also be sort of a beacon.
Yeah, to come home to.
Yeah.
I mean, it also depends on, like, you know, I'm really lucky to have a great like partner and girlfriend. When I go away, she takes care of the kids. So I'm like, that wouldn't. Having a great friend like that and a great partnership and a girlfriend to do that, it makes it possible for me to do this. You know, so it's not just about me. It's about your surroundings or having maybe parents to take the kids or whatever you have around you to help you. But that's definitely a physically difficult thing to manage. When you go on tour, you can bring kids on tour a bit, like when they're young and you have one of them. 2 of them would be a bit difficult. So my first kid I brought on the road all the time. The first kid's like traveled everywhere, like because we just had one. He was young and he's been to like Asia, Europe. It's ridiculous the places he'll never know too. It's ridiculous, but. I mean, he's like in Japan and shit. You know,
you can tell.
I'll tell him and he'll be like, what? And yeah, with 2 it just becomes a bit more difficult to do that.
But do you think in the near future it will happen again, that you will take them both?
I think like there's certain tours you can do that, like festival runs you can do that, because it's outdoors and it's fun. Lots of bands bring their families on the festival runs. And yeah, I'm sure they'll come join me on the road or just so I can see them, or else I won't, you know, when I start to tour a lot, I won't see them if they don't come visit me sometimes.
Your band has been a close-knit team for a couple of years already.
Yeah.
You've been, there haven't been any lineup changes or something?
Nope,
which
no lineup changes.
happens a lot in bands.
Yeah.
How do you keep a relationship like that healthy?
Well, it's a lot of work. It's like a couple. It works exactly like a couple. Like you're going to have like, everybody's going to have to make compromises, and everybody's going to have to like give something up for the team, you know, and everybody in my band's been very lucky to be surrounded by really they're great people, and I think we have a very strong friendship, and we've been through so many crazy things together, and you know, not to say we don't argue or have differences of opinions, and maybe I would argue that they had to make bigger compromises than I did, so maybe the hat's off more to them than to me. And they're great, and I think it's a great project, and it's really fun to be a part of it. And even for me, like I feel like I'm a part of a project. I don't feel like I'm a part of my thing. I feel like I'm part of a band, and I'm lucky to play with these musicians. And I think when you have like a good respect for each other, and and you try to make compromises where everybody wins a little bit sometimes, and it's just, it's about talking and working things out and trying to hold a friendship, and also couples always talk about you go on you go away to a funny hotel and do something kind of strangely erotic, funny kind of thing. Like we would do things on tour, I think this is one of the things why we stick together the most is we drive by a helicopter place in the north of Quebec and we're like, okay, stop the car, we're going for a helicopter ride. Like ridiculous things that it's not because we're rich we'll do it, it's because even if we'll go broke doing it, we'll do these little adventures on the road that we have memories of really stupid kind of funny things. And like for example, that helicopter ride we decided ended up being something we didn't bargain for. It wasn't go up in the sky. The pilot turned into be this fucking cowboy who would stall the helicopter, go fall to the ground on purpose, pull up last minute, started going underneath power lines, going low level down rivers. The guy should have had his license removed within the first 10 seconds of our ride, let alone the 5 minutes, 20 minutes it lasted. We came back oh my, so happy we didn't die, And that's a memory we'll all go to the grave with, there's lots of little things that, I remember when we stopped at the Grand Canyon in the American tour, and we put Ennio Morricone blasted in our speakers and drove up to the Grand Canyon. I think all of us will remember that to the day we die together. These are great moments, and so it's doing things that are special, and I think it works the same thing when a couple, if you do those little things as a couple, you have great memories that you can build on.
You keep the thing going.
Yeah.